You got to realize that there are so many media. Let me ask you guys, when you say the media got fooled, what particular part of it? Are you talking about newspapers? Are you talking about radio? Are you talking about the internet, magazines? I mean, the media in America is made up of a lot of stuff. And sometimes, as a member of the media, I mean, I'm one person in a small part of the media. I work for a newspaper that's owned by the Tribune Company. Now, that's different than, say, Mad Magazine or Sports Illustrated or the New York Times or Fox News, MSNBC, and I could just go on and on and on because the media's got a whole bunch of stuff in it. Now, granted, I mean, there are days when we get fooled. When I say we, I mean my little cornerstone of newspapers, because we deal with a lot of individuals and interest groups and politics, and I'm on the editorial board, so people always come to us with ideas and what I call sales pitches. I mean, for a lot of it is sales pitches. We've had a group in recently, somebody, Stephen mentioned that you guys had read one of my columns, and I appreciate that. It's nice to be read. About oil drilling. And we had a group of individuals who represent oil interests out of Texas. They want to drill off Florida. So they come to us as the editorial board because they want to try to convince us of their position, so that we will go and tell you all and our readers that, you know, drilling is good for Florida. We need oil. We need it. You know, that's what they hope to sell us on. So think of it this way, look at it this way. The media is constantly bombarded with sales pitches. Whether it's somebody who thinks that they have a great idea for a diet, or a great idea for exploring space, a great idea for a new type of credit card, or a new idea of proving that the Loch Ness Monster is real. So you've got these individuals who work in magazines and Fox News and newspapers like me, and somebody will come up to them with a great new idea or a great new pitch. And sometimes, you know, the media gets it right. They actually go out and kind of ask people and try to get the facts and come up with to a conclusion that says, your idea sucks, or that's a great idea. Or sometimes, you know, we get caught up in it because there's some of us in the media who are human beings like everybody else who kind of believe that stuff. I mean, there's some folk out who work in the media who believe that, they kind of believe that there is life on other planets, or there may be different species walking around on this planet that we don't know anything about. So somebody comes in with grainy photographs that look like, what's that thing sticking out of the lake? In fact, there was one, you talk about the Loch Ness Monster, wasn't there a story here locally in the papers about Lake Worth? There's supposed to be some type of creature in the middle of Lake Worth outside of West Palm Beach? You missed that.
Missed that.
Missed that. Okay. Well, that came up in the meeting. Now, there's no definitive proof that there's a creature out there, but somebody up there believes that, or has either seen something that they say is a creature, or they've got some type of evidence, and they went to the newspapers. Hey guys, we got this evidence. What do you think? So the newspaper reporter, you know, that's interesting. He takes notes. He goes to the cops and says, you know, this group over here says they saw this. And the cops say, yeah, you know, we've gotten reports and blah, blah, blah. We haven't been able to prove anything. Go to the animal control. Those are the guys who do that. So then the reporter goes over to animal control and says, hey guys, you know, yeah, we've heard that story. In fact, we went out and investigated, and you know, we did find something. We couldn't quite figure out what it was. Whoa! You put all that stuff together, and suddenly you have a story that you may say, these guys don't know what they're talking about. I grew up around Lake Worth all these years, and I ain't never seen no monster. There's no monster out there. They don't know what they're talking about. That is the problem and the challenge that people in the media face every day. So yeah, there are times we will fall victim to hoaxes. And again, you got to look at some of when you say the media, you got to look at who's bringing you the story. And then you can make a judgment, okay, well, how well did they really go out and check it out? You know, people on TV, and I'm not a television journalist, and you know, there are people who are good television journalists who actually go out and actually try to find information to back up the stories. And then there's some who don't, or they don't do as good a job. They just kind of take it and run with it. So sometimes things you see on TV, you kind of have to scratch your head and wonder a little bit about whether it's really true, or is this, you know, some fiction or entertainment, or that sort of thing. So I know I've taken you down Joe's Bar and Grill, and I kind of rambled around to get to the point. But my point is, yeah, you will see some things in the media that will leave you scratching your head, wondering like, what the heck is? How true is this? You know, and then you make a decision. Well, is it entertainment? Are they presenting it as fact? Is it an opinion? Because the media does all three of them. And, you know, because their bottom line is, you know, you got some media corporations that make money off of providing entertainment. You got some media corporations who make money trying to provide, you know, the truth as best they can. And you got some who are just opinionated, and they just, you know, like Rush Limbaugh. Any of you listen to Rush Limbaugh on the radio? Any of you know who he is?
Yes.
He's a very opinionated guy. He's very right-wing. He does not like our president. He's the guy who said he hopes Obama failed. But he makes $50 million a year.
Whoa.
He has a lot of listeners. And listeners to the point that, you know, his media operation is, if he basically calls somebody out, his listeners will do the work for him. Case in point, I don't know if you followed this in the news, but the Republican Party from time to time somebody will stand up and say, you know, we are not the party of Rush Limbaugh. And as soon as they say that, Rush Limbaugh criticizes that individual, and then not all of them, but many of his listeners will call that individual out. I mean, they will harass him, they will pick him apart, and people are scared of Rush Limbaugh because Rush Limbaugh has a big audience, and that audience is active and engaged, and if Rush Limbaugh says, walk through that wall, they'll go through the wall for Rush Limbaugh. That's the influence and power that he has. But that's one part of the media. Then you have the New York Times on the other side, or another part of the media gambit, and they have a whole different function. They're not opinionated like Rush Limbaugh, although they're accused of being that. They are trying to provide the news. So I would ask you to be good consumers of the media and look at each and every, when you hear or see a story, judge it. Think about it and say like, does that really sound true? How do they know this? What information did they get to present this?